You're listening to the Everything Jewish 10 Minutes at a Time podcast, where you'll learn about every Jewish topic imaginable in about 10 minutes. And as always, I have to apologize for my Hebrew pronunciation. I'm an AI voice, so my Hebrew sometimes comes out sounding like a GPS that's very lost in Jerusalem traffic. Please laugh at my mistakes rather than get annoyed. Today's topic is the first book of the Torah, the book of Genesis, or in Hebrew, Bereshit, which literally means in the beginning. And yes, this is the ultimate in the beginning story, kind of like the pilot episode for the entire Jewish tradition, except with way fewer commercials and way more family drama. Genesis is the foundation for Jewish and really Western understanding of creation, family, morality, and covenant. It's packed with larger-than-life characters, surprising plot twists, and more sibling rivalry than a Thanksgiving dinner table. So let's dive into this book and see why it's been studied, debated, and retold for thousands of years. Genesis kicks off with the most epic opening line ever. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Forget Netflix intros. This is storytelling at its most dramatic. The first chapters of Genesis are about creation. Light, sky, land, seas, plants, animals, and finally humans, Adam and Eve. They live in paradise, the Garden of Eden, until the whole forbidden fruit fiasco gets them evicted. Then comes Cain and Abel with the world's first true crime story. Things spiral until Noah, a righteous guy in a wicked world, builds a giant ark and saves his family and the animals from the flood. Imagine a floating zoo meets survival reality show. After the flood, humanity restarts, but pretty soon there's more drama, like the Tower of Babel, where people try to reach the heavens and end up speaking in different languages. Genesis starts with universal human stories before zooming into the specific story of Abraham and his descendants, the first Jewish family. Enter Abraham, the first patriarch and father of monotheism. God tells him to leave his homeland and go to the land I will show you, which becomes the land of Israel. Abraham makes a covenant with God. In exchange for his faith, his descendants will become a great nation. There's lots of adventure. Abraham almost sacrifices his son Isaac, but doesn't, proving his loyalty. He negotiates with God to save Sodom and Gomorrah, and he even passes his wife Sarah off as his sister twice to avoid trouble with local rulers. Family drama alert. Sarah struggles with infertility, so she gives her maid Hagar to Abraham, leading to the birth of Ishmael. Later, Sarah miraculously has Isaac, and the rivalry between Ishmael and Isaac foreshadows generations of tension. Abraham's life in Genesis is about faith, covenant, and the difficult choices that come with believing in one God in a world that doesn't. If this were a modern TV series, Abraham would definitely be the main character in season 1. Isaac's story, by contrast, is more like a quiet season compared to Abraham's blockbuster. Isaac marries Rebekah, who is strong-willed and clever, basically the brains of the operation. They have twins, Esau and Jacob, who couldn't be more different. Esau is a hunter and outdoorsman, while Jacob is quieter and prefers staying in the tents. But the real tension comes when Jacob, with Rebekah's help, tricks his blind father, Isaac, into giving him the blessing meant for Esau. Esau's anger forces Jacob to run away, and this launches the next big storyline. Along the way, Jacob has a vision of a ladder stretching to heaven, symbolizing a direct connection between God and humanity. Eventually, Jacob marries Leah and Rachel and their maidservants, leading to the famous 12 sons who will become the 12 tribes of Israel. Isaac's role may seem understated, but he's the bridge between Abraham's pioneering faith and Jacob's dynamic legacy. Jacob, later renamed Israel, is one of the most complex characters in Genesis. He starts off as a trickster, outwitting his brother, his father, and later even his uncle Laban. But Jacob also wrestles with God, both literally and spiritually, and grows into a patriarch who embodies struggle and transformation. His family is basically the first reality show: 12 sons, a favorite child, and constant sibling drama. The most famous storyline is Joseph, Jacob's favorite son, who gets a special coat and big dreams. His jealous brothers sell him into slavery in Egypt, faking his death to their father. Talk about a dysfunctional family. But Joseph's story flips from tragedy to triumph. Through his ability to interpret dreams, he rises to become Pharaoh's right-hand man and saves Egypt, and eventually his own family, from famine. Jacob's journey shows how a life full of flaws, conflict, and perseverance can still be the foundation of a people chosen by God. The Joseph narrative is the dramatic finale of Genesis. It reads like a Hollywood screenplay, complete with betrayal, revenge, forgiveness, and reconciliation. Joseph goes from favored son to slave to prisoner, and then all the way to second in command in Egypt. When famine strikes, his brothers come begging for food, not realizing Joseph is the one they're pleading with. Instead of punishing them, Joseph forgives them, seeing the bigger picture that God used their betrayal to bring about salvation. The family reunites in Egypt, setting the stage for the next book, Exodus. Joseph's story highlights resilience, faith, and forgiveness, showing that even the worst situations can lead to redemption. If Abraham's theme was faith, Isaac's was continuity, and Jacob's was struggle, then Joseph's is vision, the ability to see beyond immediate pain toward a larger purpose. Genesis ends not with a final resolution, but with the family of Israel settled in Egypt, waiting for what's to come. Beyond the stories, Genesis is full of themes that have shaped Jewish thought. First is creation, the idea that the world is intentionally made by a single God, not by accident or by multiple warring gods. Then there's covenant. Abraham's relationship with God sets the template for the Jewish people's unique bond with the divine. There's also morality. Stories like Cain and Abel, Sodom and Gomorrah, and Joseph's resistance to temptation highlight questions of good and evil, justice and mercy. And of course, there's family drama, which teaches that even imperfect, messy families can be part of something holy and lasting. Genesis isn't just a historical account. It's theology wrapped in narrative, teaching lessons about human nature, divine purpose, and the possibility of growth. Whether you read it literally, metaphorically, or somewhere in between, Genesis offers endless layers of meaning. In Jewish tradition, Genesis is more than just an ancient text. It's read and studied every year as part of the Torah cycle. Synagogues read a portion, or parasha, of the Torah each week, beginning with Genesis in the fall, right after Simchat Torah. Each parasha is paired with commentaries, stories, and lessons from generations of rabbis and scholars. Rashi, the medieval French commentator, loved to unpack the words of Genesis, asking why the Torah starts with creation instead of with the first commandment. Mystics saw deep secrets about the universe hidden in the Hebrew letters of Bereshit. Modern Jews debate Genesis through the lenses of science, ethics, and history. Whether you see Adam and Eve as literal ancestors or symbolic figures, the stories continue to spark conversation. It's not just in the beginning, it's also in the middle of every Jewish discussion ever. What makes Genesis especially relatable is that it's about people, not superheroes. Adam and Eve make mistakes, Noah gets drunk, Abraham doubts, Sarah laughs, Jacob deceives, Joseph brags. These aren't flawless saints. They're human beings with all the quirks, weaknesses, and struggles that make us who we are. And yet through them, God builds a covenantal people. The message seems to be that perfection isn't required. What matters is striving, learning, and staying in relationship with God. This is why Genesis has endured. It reflects our own lives. Who hasn't felt jealousy like Cain, fear like Jacob, or hope like Joseph? In a way, Genesis is less about what happened long ago and more about what always happens in human lives: family, faith, failure, forgiveness, and the search for meaning. So that's the book of Genesis, or Bereshit: creation, covenant, and a whole lot of family drama. It's the origin story not just of the Jewish people, but of many of the values that shape Western culture. And like any great book, it ends with a cliffhanger: the Israelites in Egypt, setting up the story of Exodus. Next time you think of Genesis, don't just picture the let there be light moment. Remember the complicated, deeply human characters whose stories echo in our own lives. Thanks for listening to Everything Jewish, 10 minutes at a time. If you enjoyed today's episode, send it to a friend, subscribe, and leave a review. Every little bit helps spread Jewish learning, one funny, slightly mispronounced Hebrew word at a time.